This is Ethan Zabarylo. I met him at a place called Merriam School of Music in Oakville for the All-Star Jazz Band, and that was a good program where we got to sort of elaborate on some of our jazz skills, which was really cool. So that's how I met Ethan. And so Ethan, why don't we just sort of start off a bit? Can you sort of tell us a little bit about yourself and when you first started playing your instrument, when you picked it up, and that kind of stuff?
I'm a tenor saxophone player. Well, mainly tenor saxophone. I do play alto and soprano as well. But I guess I started off I started off actually playing piano, and I think it was in grade 3. But then I played for about 4 years, and then for school I had to choose kind of like a different instrument. So it was either, drums or trumpet, saxophone, and I chose saxophone. And then I sort of just, I had a saxophone at home, so that kind of like helped me to learn it, because also my dad knew how to play, and so I was able to practice outside of school. But then I didn't really get like into it that much until I think grade 7, when I started taking lessons at Merriam. And then in grade 8 I joined Hull Junior Jazz and so on. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started out. The only other thing is that I didn't actually get like serious about it until maybe about grade 10, or like technically like I didn't get serious about it until like this year, but I want to say grade 10 because that's when I started playing jazz and stuff. But yeah, that's how I started it.
Cool. So sounds like you had a lot of different sort of training and progression before you sort of got into it, which is good. So would you like to start off and play a tune or two for us to start off?
I guess I could start off with a tune that I learned a couple weeks ago. It's called "I'll Close My Eyes," and I guess the thing that I actually started doing a couple weeks ago as well, when I started learning this tune, is I started learning the lyrics to tunes, because even though I only play saxophone and I can't sing or whatever, lyrics they help you sort of with phrasing and just making the melody flow better.
Right.
So that's the thing that this song always makes me think about.
Nice. Very cool. How do you just sort of a basic level, how, because improvisation, that's all improvisation, right? So like on a sort of basic level, when you're dealing with a tune like Autumn Leaves or something, can you just sort of go into detail, a little like brief detail about sort of the procedure or steps that you sort of follow to navigate a tune? Like, well, I mean, just like in sort of general, more general terms, but that would be kind of cool, neat to hear a little info about that. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I guess a lot of the work comes when you practice, and you're not performing and whatever. Um, but you basically you kind of like in the practice room you want to develop the muscle memory to get through the tune, so
Right.
that when you're performing you don't really have to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there are so many different ways to do that. You could practice playing bebop like scale, or you could just play scales over it, or you could do like the bebop method, I guess, where you experiment with enclosures and bebop scales and stuff like that, and just try to play around the changes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's really you just play a lot over the changes, and you try to do as many things that you haven't done over the changes when you're in the practice room, so that and build those into your muscle memory, so that when you get on stage and you're performing or whatever, um, you have the muscle memory, and you hear it and it comes out. And that's kind of how I approach a tune. Um, if I'm not in the practice room and I'm just given a tune like and I have to play over it, usually it's just I try to pay attention to what sounds or what's supposed to sound right, and I try to use my ears as much as possible. Um, but when you can't use your ears, you rely on theory and also muscle memory, because there'll be similarities between things that you've already practiced. Um, and yeah, that's you just rely on everything that you've practiced to get you through still.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Here is the tune that I probably know the most, like that I can hear the best. It's called "There Will Never Be Another You." The
Oh,
classic.
I love this one. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love the changes on it, and I've worked a lot over it, and it was probably the second jazz standard that I ever learned.